Look, I'm going to say something that might sound a little crazy coming from someone who has spent months talking about personal finance. Budgeting, the way most people do it, is probably making your financial life worse. Stay with me here, because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you a budgeting method that requires almost zero tracking, works better for most people than a traditional budget, and might actually make you excited about your finances for the first time ever. This is the anti-budget, and it is genuinely one of the most powerful money concepts I have come across. Before we get into it, if you have been watching this series from the beginning, first of all, thank you so much. You are amazing. This is the final video in our complete budgeting series, and I saved this one for last on purpose. Because the anti-budget is not where you start your financial journey, it is where you arrive when you understand what budgeting is actually trying to accomplish. And if you are brand new here and this is your first video, I would recommend going back through the playlist after this because everything is going to click so much harder once you understand this framework. Alright, let me paint you a picture that might feel familiar. You decide, this is it. This is the month I am finally getting my money together. You download a budgeting app. Maybe you set up all these little spending categories. $50 for coffee, $200 for groceries, $120 for gas. You feel genuinely proud of yourself. You did the thing. Then life happens. Your car needs an oil change. Your friend has a birthday dinner. You stress eat takeout 3 times in 1 week because work was brutal. And now every single category is blown. The app is showing you red numbers everywhere. And instead of fixing anything, you just close the app and pretend it does not exist for the next 3 weeks. And then next month you feel guilty, and the cycle starts all over again. This is not a discipline problem. This is a design problem. Traditional zero-based budgeting and strict category budgeting systems were built in an era when people had fewer expenses, more predictable incomes, and honestly way more time to sit down and manually track every transaction. For most modern people, these systems create so much friction and so much psychological pressure that they become unsustainable almost immediately. You are not failing the budget. The budget is failing you. So what actually is the anti-budget? The concept was popularized by personal finance writer Paula Pant, and the core philosophy is beautifully simple. Pay yourself first, then spend the rest freely. That is it. That is the whole system. No categories, no tracking every coffee, no guilt spirals on a Tuesday night because you went over your restaurant budget by $11. The anti-budget flips the entire script on how we think about financial responsibility. Here is how the traditional budget works in your brain. You earn money, it lands in your account, then you try to control where it goes by rationing it out into categories and hoping there is something left over to save at the end. The problem is that leftover savings never actually materialize for most people, because life is unpredictable and spending expands to fill whatever space is available. This is sometimes called Parkinson's law applied to money, and it is devastatingly real. The anti-budget reverses this completely. When your paycheck hits, before you pay a single bill, before you buy a single thing, you immediately move a predetermined amount into savings and investments. You automate this transfer so it happens without any decision-making on your part. Then, and this is the beautiful part, you spend whatever is left however you want. No categories, no tracking, no judgment. The financial goal is already accomplished the moment that automatic transfer goes through. Now here is where I need to give you the number that makes or breaks this system. The anti-budget typically recommends saving and investing somewhere between 20 and 30% of your take-home income before anything else. Some people push this as high as 35% depending on their goals and income level. That savings and investment figure covers your emergency fund contributions, your retirement accounts, any brokerage investments, and any savings goals like a house down payment or a vacation fund. Everything goes into this one big automatic move. Once that percentage is handled, the remaining 70 to 80% of your income is yours to live on. Rent, utilities, groceries, subscriptions, dinners out, whatever you want. You do not need to track which category each dollar falls into because you have already won. The work is done. The financial responsible version of you handled business the second that paycheck arrived. Let me talk about why this works psychologically, because this is where it gets really interesting. Traditional budgets rely on willpower and constant decision-making. Every time you pull out your card to buy something, you are supposed to mentally check it against your budget category, feel appropriately guilty or justified, and make a conscious choice. That is exhausting. Decision fatigue is a real cognitive phenomenon where the quality of your decisions degrades the more decisions you have to make throughout a day. By the time you are tired and hungry and you just want to order pizza, you have no mental energy left to enforce your food budget. You are going to order the pizza, feel bad about it, and spiral. The anti-budget eliminates almost all of those daily money decisions. You made one big decision, you set up the automatic transfer, and then your brain gets to rest. You do not need to feel guilty about the pizza because the pizza money was always in your spending pool. You already saved your 20 or 30%. The pizza is just the pizza. There is also a concept in behavioral economics called mental accounting, where we categorize money differently based on where it came from or where we intend to put it. Traditional budgets lean heavily on mental accounting in ways that create anxiety. The anti-budget leverages it in a healthier way by making savings feel separate and untouchable, while the spending pool feels genuinely free. Your brain can relax around the spending money because you have already protected the future money. Now, let me walk you through exactly how to set this up because I do not want this to just be an interesting idea. I want you to be able to implement this today. Step 1 is calculating your take-home income. This is your actual after-tax, after any deductions paycheck amount, not your gross salary, your real take-home number. If your income varies month to month, use a conservative average, maybe your lowest earning month from the past 6 months. Step 2 is choosing your savings and investment percentage. If you are just starting out or you are carrying significant debt, 20% might feel aggressive. Start with whatever is realistic, even if it is 10 or 15%, and commit to increasing it by 1 or 2% every 6 months. The system works at any percentage, but it works best when you are as close to that 20 to 30% range as possible. Step 3 is setting up automatic transfers. This is non-negotiable. The entire power of the anti-budget comes from automation. You need these transfers to happen on payday, not 2 weeks later, not when you remember, on payday automatically. Most banks and investment platforms let you schedule recurring transfers, set them up so the money moves before you have any chance to spend it. Out of sight, out of mind is actually a feature here, not a bug. Step 4 is making sure your essential bills are also automated where possible. Rent, utilities, minimum debt payments, these should all be on autopilot too. The goal is to reduce the number of active financial decisions you are making month to month to nearly zero. Step 5 is simply living on what remains. This is where people sometimes panic and think, but what if I go over? And here is my honest answer. You might, especially in the first month or two. That is okay. The beauty of the anti-budget is that even if you completely blow your spending pool 1 month, your savings goal was already met. You did not fail your budget. You might need to be a little more careful next month, but the important work is already done. I want to address something that I know some of you are thinking right now. Does this mean I should never look at my bank account? Absolutely not. The anti-budget does not mean financial blindness. You should still check your accounts regularly, maybe once a week or even a few times a week, just to have a general sense of where your spending pool stands. The difference is you are doing a quick balance check rather than an exhaustive category audit. There is no spreadsheet, no app categories, no line item analysis, just a general awareness of how much spending room you have left this month. Now, who is this system best for? Honestly, the anti-budget works beautifully for people with relatively stable monthly expenses, people who are psychologically resistant to detailed tracking, higher income earners where tracking small purchases matters less as a percentage of income, and people who have already tried traditional budgets multiple times and keep abandoning them. If that sounds like you, this might genuinely change your financial life. However, I want to be real with you about when the anti-budget might not be the right fit. If you are in a place where money is extremely tight and you are not sure if your essential bills will get paid every month, you need more structure before you can use this system. The anti-budget assumes you have enough income to cover necessities after your savings transfer. If that math is not working out, you need to address income or essential expenses first. Similarly, if you are actively working to pay off large amounts of debt aggressively, you might benefit from a more detailed approach that helps you find every possible extra dollar to throw at that debt. But here is something I really want you to hear. The anti-budget and traditional budgeting are not enemies. Think of them as tools in a toolbox. Maybe you spend 6 months doing a detailed budget to get a clear picture of your spending patterns and fix any obvious problems. Then you graduate to the anti-budget once you have things stabilized. Or maybe you use a hybrid approach, a little structure around one or two problem categories while letting everything else flow freely. Finance is not one size fits all, and anyone who tells you there is only one right way to manage money is selling you something. Let me bring this home with a big picture idea I really want to leave you with. Every budgeting system, every financial framework, every piece of money advice ultimately has one goal: to give you more freedom. More freedom from financial stress, more freedom to make choices aligned with your values, more freedom to enjoy your life without that constant low-level anxiety about whether you can afford things. The anti-budget gets there by trusting yourself, by saying, I am going to handle the important future stuff first, and then I'm going to trust myself to live my life without micromanaging every dollar. That trust, that release of the guilt and the tracking and the category checking, that is genuinely powerful for a lot of people, and I think it might be powerful for you. If this series has helped you at all, please hit that like button because it genuinely helps other people find these videos when they need them. Subscribe if you have not already, because we are going to keep building on these foundations with more practical personal finance content. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you going to try the anti-budget, or are you a traditional budgeting fan? I read every single comment and I would love to know where you land. Thank you so much for watching the entire series. Now, go set up that automatic transfer. Seriously, do it today.